Good Friday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by the Family Forest Carbon Program, where we help family forest owners get paid to improve the health of their woods. Well, under clear skies this morning, I have 65 degrees on the barn thermometer. Now, it did rain overnight. Actually, some pretty good thunderstorms rolled through overnight and in the early morning hours. Over the last 2 days, I have crisscrossed through about 20 counties in the northern and western part of the state and can honestly say there are a lot of wet fields everywhere. The question now becomes, when will the rain stop and how many dry days can we put together in a row? This quick calendar reminder, you can celebrate the 38th annual Armed Forces Day with the Findlay Military Association May 15th through the 18th. This will take place at the Hancock County Fairgrounds. Ride a Huey helicopter, watch reenactment performances, check out military vehicles from all the eras and more. Visit www.findlaymilitarishow.org for a full schedule of events, sponsored by Ohio Logistics. Also tune in to midday next Wednesday as we'll have our monthly update with Farm Credit Mid-America. Let's check in now with Dale Minyo as he has this week's update from Feeding Farmers in the Field.
Joining me is Nathan Schrader. We're in Putnam County. It's week number 2 of Feeding Farmers in the Field. Nathan, the best corn I've seen so far up is on your farm and some great wheat. How much have you gotten done this spring?
We've been pretty blessed here in our little neck of the woods here. We are 100% planted. We started April 24th and finished up late on the 30th, and as of yesterday morning, with a little bit of rain, everything did poke through. So bless God and thank you. We're lucky right now. So.
Yeah, given the spotty rains and the amount of moisture that still sits around the field, it's exciting to see a crop coming out because as long as it's under the surface, there's still a question, isn't there?
Absolutely. Starting to want to crust over a little bit, but we picked up a couple tenths of rain and a little bit more last night. So everything's out, and we're looking for a great year. A little bit of rain this summer, we'll be off to the races.
Crops in the ground, the race is on, but every day you got to go to the hog barn, and you've got a cooperating partner in your network. Tell us a little bit about it.
So we contract grow for Horde Livestock. We have some nurseries and some finishing spaces for them, and we've been in partnership with them for 12 years now. It's been a great relationship, and look forward to the next 12 years.
And in the beginning, put together so that you could bring more of the family members back to the farm. And again, what a great way to be able to do that.
Yeah, the original goal was how can we bring our 3 families back to work on the farm? Livestock was a big part of it, and Hordes was a bigger part of that, so it all worked out well.
So if we get things to work out rest of the season, when will the wheat come off?
We got some earlier planted wheat. Hopefully the end of June we'll be out there dabbling around and be able to run it.
Are we too far north for double crop, or it's not a geography thing anymore?
It's not much of a geography thing. We're going to plan on planting 100% of our wheat to double crop.
Nathan, thanks for the update and having us out to the farm.
You betcha. Thanks for coming out, Dale.
Well, let's get an update now on your Friday weather forecast brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com.
We've got some more moisture heading towards the Buckeye State. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. We are dry slotting here this morning, and I think we stay dry through most of this afternoon. Our next round of moisture wants to push into the state overnight, probably closer to midnight, right on through sunrise tomorrow morning, and that's going to give us another 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of precipitation. However, it's done by late morning to midday. We turn out partly sunny for the balance of your Saturday and looking at a sunny, beautiful day on Sunday. Putting that dry weather in here on Monday as well. Our next weather system is a massive low in the Great Plains for Monday, and the far eastern fringes of that start to push some moisture into Ohio overnight Monday night. I think we have to allow for some hit-and-miss scattered showers over about 20 to 30% of the state for Tuesday of next week. Better rain potential for Tuesday into Wednesday, or Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday. I think next week, in that first half of the week, I will look for anywhere from 1/4 to 1 inch of rain with coverage at around 75% of the Buckeye State. We go dry the second half of the week, Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, Friday, Saturday should be partly to mostly sunny. Remember, that's the Memorial Day holiday weekend, so we're also seeing some moisture trying to move through the Mississippi River Valley for Sunday the 25th and Monday. A few fringes of that may try and hit Ohio, but right now I'm calling for us to be dry all the way through the holiday weekend. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.
Farmers, be safe moving from field to field this season. Keep your warning lights clean and in good working order for roadway travel. Take a few minutes to check your lights and reflectors and make sure your slow-moving vehicle emblem is visible as you share the road. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. This message provided to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
I'm joined today by Stephanie Karoff. Stephanie is a field specialist in agronomic systems and an assistant professor at OSU Extension. Stephanie, we are at the middle of May essentially, and in a sense, in my mind at least, that's sort of the middle of planting season. As you look around the state of Ohio, a lot of crops went in early, some of those uprowable, looking good. Some maybe struggled a little bit with a lot of that rain we had. But now as we're at this point looking forward, I think a lot of folks asking that question, where do we go from here? How do we evaluate the stands that may be out there? And if we haven't got a chance to get in the field yet, do we need to be contemplating any changes moving forward?
Thanks, Dusty. So first, focusing on those that were able to take advantage of that planting window in late April. I've been pleasantly surprised by the stands I've seen from those fields. Some yellowing, but showing some promise in stands. So I'd recommend, as we get closer to VC and soybeans, so those cotyledons out, and later for corn as well, to go out, take those stand counts, and then also evaluate the consistency of that stand across the field. So do we have a consistent stand throughout that's going to be able to combat any weed population and pressure later on in the season? And especially for those earlier planted cornfields, even if we have a reduced stand, even if we're looking at a 25,000 plants per acre situation, that early planting day is still gaining us yield potential compared to if we would go in and replant at the end of May. So even if we had stands of 35,000 at the end of May, we're going to have less yield potential compared to that lower stand in late April.
Uniformity of that stand is probably also important too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then making sure to prioritize that weed management program if we do have gaps. And making sure that they're not going to be able to take advantage of those.
Well, depending on where you're at in the state, it seemed like it really varied how heavy the rains came when they did. Some places, just a nice, gentle soaking rain, although it seemed like it never stopped, and so we got a lot of precipitation. Other places, though, did have those heavy cloud bursts and really got things pounded into the ground. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, so for those that had that really heavy sudden burst of rainfall, some of my main concerns are we going to have just some damage and lower emergence for those that were already emerged after planting. And then also looking later on, are we going to see any pockets of seedling disease or injury in those areas where we did have ponding? So going out, looking for those seedling diseases, digging them up and inspecting to see that root and growing point is healthy. And hopefully we can still get good stands out of those fields yet.
Well, for fields that haven't been planted yet, as we look ahead to the coming weeks, it's touch and go depending on what rains fall and when guys can get actually back at it again. At what point in the calendar do you think folks need to start reevaluating either their planting populations or potentially the varieties they're going to plant?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dusty. And we're really not at that point in the calendar year. So we're still in May. Some promise with that weather forecast, depending on if we can get in this weekend or if it's going to be later than that. It's really not until we get into the mid part or early part of June that we start needing to reevaluating, what's our population that we're at and what varieties or hybrids maturity-wise are we using. So right now, I'd say keep that plan A and fingers crossed we can get some planting windows and take advantage of it.
Well, in general, the temperatures have been very favorable. Soil temperatures are right where we'd like to see them, and the moisture is there. So I would guess anytime that seed does get put in the ground in fit conditions, it's probably going to jump out and catch up with anything maybe that went in early that may be struggling a little.
Yes. Yeah. I have the same hope that we can still get quick emergence. And with that early planting in April, we did see, delayed emergence for some of those fields. So if we can get that planting yet here in mid-May, still get that seed up and going, I think we still got strong yield potential out there.
Great information. Again, my guest today is Stephanie Karoff. Stephanie's a field specialist with OSU Extension for Agronomic Systems. Stephanie, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Dusty.
On other agricultural headlines, the House Agriculture Committee back on Wednesday night advanced its piece of the budget reconciliation package on a party line vote. The House Ag provisions improved the farmer safety net from the 2018 Farm Bill, but also cut projected $290 billion out of the food assistance over the next decade. Now, under the plan, farmers would see better reference prices, a broader band of protection levels under commodity and insurance programs, and see the payment limit for farm programs increased. The bill also seeks to shift food assistance spending to the states to make up for cuts to those programs. Now, the Agriculture Committee is just one of the committees that held makeups. The Agriculture Committee is just one of the committees that held markups this week on different sections of the Farm Bill to add to a budget reconciliation package the House is putting together, meant to primarily extend the 2017 tax cuts. The, quote, One Big Beautiful Bill, as it's being called, also would cut social spending in programs such as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, otherwise known as the SNAP program. And if the full reconciliation bill passes, the Senate is likely to change the agriculture provisions. The Senate budget plan, for instance, calls for cutting only $1 billion from the SNAP program, and lawmakers began Tuesday night with a 4-hour session made up primarily of Democrats speaking at length, leveling their criticism over the $290 billion in SNAP cuts. Republicans were brief in their remarks, mainly declaring their support for the bill, and that carried forward Wednesday as nearly every Democrat remained in the committee as they proposed amendments to overturn the SNAP cuts, while most Republicans were absent. Wednesday evening, a round of amendment votes failed along party lines, with a series of votes 29-25, with the Republican majority prevailing. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at your markets after this. Whether you're in the fields or on the farm, creating a safer work environment has never been easier. BWC's safety consulting services are included with your policy premiums and offer training and education for everyone in your farming operation. It's always the right time to make safety a priority. Visit bwc.ohio.gov or call 1-800-644-6292. The Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, here to help you work safely. Let's take a look at what's impacting our markets. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Phone 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished mixed to mostly lower in the Thursday session, and let's be honest, it was pretty much all about renewable fuels. Let's start with where the positive numbers were on a Thursday. That was in the wheat market. Chicago wheat up 7-8, Kansas City wheat up 4-5. Minneapolis wheat actually got into positive territory as well, but only by a few pennies. The Wheat Quality Council tour wrapping up in Kansas, putting out their numbers for production, and that was a little bit supportive to wheat. Look, the wheat looked really, really good in Kansas. In western Kansas, it's probably some of the best looking wheat we've seen in a number of years, but that's because it's had moisture. The word wet was used several times on the wheat tour. Now that might have just been due to the walking through very wet early morning dew-covered fields, but still, what we also heard is disease pressure. So we'll see whether this wheat market can work its way out going forward. Corn was lower, kind of caught between the wheat market that was strong and the soybean market that just was falling apart, finishing down a couple of pennies on most corn contracts. And that takes us to soybeans, finishing down 25 to 27.5 points. And this was all about leaked renewable fuel mandate volumes that are far beneath what the industry had geared itself up for. Limit down moves in soybean oil yesterday. Likely going to be seeing more of that through the day today. Maybe it's not another limit, but it is going to be a retraction here. The volumes that are being talked about are okay. They're decent, but it's not what the trade have been looking for, and some of the language in there is all about removing foreign sources of feedstock, so that your used cooking oil and things like that, which is good, but the renewable fuel volumes are just not what the industry wanted. 45Z a part of this as well, so it was a real interesting day yesterday. And we saw that spill over into the livestock markets too, not so much on hogs, but cattle falling apart in the afternoon session. Big losses. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look at how your markets closed yesterday, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Well, July corn closed up 3 cents a bushel at $4.48.5, and September corn was down 2 1/4 cents at $4.25. July soybeans closed down 26.5 cents at $10.51 1/4 cent, while August soybeans were down 27 1/4, $10.47 1/4 cent. July Chicago wheat closed up 8 cents at $5.32 3/4 3/4 cent. Now in the overnight trade, we have July corn up a penny and 3/4 at $4.50 1/4 cent. December new crop corn up a half a penny at $4.39 1/4. July soybeans are trading up 3 3/4 cents at $10.55, with November new crop beans up 2 1/2 cents at $10.37 3/4 cent, and wheat for July, the new crop trading down a 1/4 penny, $5.32 1/2 cent. This is the Ohio AgNet.